Most people get mental practice completely wrong. Why is that? Well, mental practice is the most powerful tool you have to improve your playing, and it's one of the most misunderstood tools in our toolbox as musicians. This combination leads to frustration and disappointment real fast. So, here are 3 things that mental practice is, and 3 things that mental practice definitely is not. The first thing to know is that mental practice is an experience. It's not visualization. I can't tell you the number of times I have mentioned mental practice and someone goes, "Oh yeah, I use visualization all the time. I've heard it really can help." They just don't get it. Sorry. One of the key mistakes that people make, a big assumption, is that these terms are interchangeable, mental practice and visualization. They are not. Mental practice is the experience of playing the cello and making music. The same way you experience playing the cello and making music in the physical world, except it's all in your mind. It is the full gamut, a mental representation of all the stuff that comes with that experience. The sound, the feelings, the sensations, the emotions, the triumphs and the defeats. Visualization is just that. It's visual. It's just a picture. When you are mentally practicing, you're not simply looking in your mind at a picture of you playing the cello. You are playing the cello. This is really important, so get it straight now. You have seen the memes and the jokes of people meditating or just imagining where they want to be. That's not mental practice. It never was, and it never will be. I was even the butt of a few jokes to this end, even from my professor in college when I mentioned mental practice. Some people just don't understand or want to understand what it really is. Now, before you click off with any of these 3 ideas I am going to make, you might be tempted to say, what's the point? Isn't that just a waste of time? Why don't I just go do it? Like with the point of experience. If it's all about the experience, then why don't I just go play the cello and have the experience for real? This is definitely a video you have to watch to the end in its entirety. If you don't, you will not understand very much of what I am saying. The second thing you must appreciate is that mental practice is 5D, not 2D. 5D? This comes from movie theater terminology. You have been to a 2D theater. That's just the normal regular movie that you are watching. And a 3D movie is where you put on the glasses and you have the added dimension of depth and things coming at you. In a 4D theater, they add the dimension of touch and feel by maybe vibrating the chair or spraying water on you, or in the example of a roller coaster, maybe there are fans that blow a big gust of wind at you as you descend during the movie. Mental practice, at minimum, is definitely 4D. You are feeling and experiencing. There is a tactile aspect to what you are doing in your mental representation of playing. 2D is just a picture, flat, with no depth. Now, you might be saying, isn't this just a repeat of what you said in number 1? And where's the 5D? I will get to the 5D later, but first, it is not a repeat, and second, in order to understand and appreciate mental practicing, you must understand the subtlety of what I am explaining. If you whitewash it all together, if you just say, oh, these 3 things are just all the same thing, you won't get it. The concept will be lost. This is what the, oh yeah, I use visualization all the time. I've heard it really can help. People do. They just roll it all together. Don't do that. This is an experience, and it is a 4D experience. You are feeling everything. You can feel your arms moving, your fingers pressing the strings down, your hand and arm moving the bow. You can hear the notes you are playing. This is so much more than a 2D or even a 3D experience. As for the 5D, I am going to leave that to the end because it will only make sense then. And if you are still confused about what 4D is, go find a 4D theater and see a movie. It will be worth your time. If you're here in the St. Louis area, the zoo has an awesome one. It's like $5. Go see a 4D movie, then you will understand. Now for number 3. I have definitely saved the best for last because it is the strangest, most bizarre aspect on the list here. Mental practice is about looking at how things are. It is not about imagining how you want things to be. You might be saying again, now wait a minute. If that's the case, what's the point? Why don't I just go do that in real time and skip the whole mental exercise? I'm going to get to that in a minute because the answer to that very important question has to do with the fifth dimension I just told you about. Because of this question, this confusing aspect, I think this third item on our list here is the most difficult to wrap your head around and accept. I know it was for me. And so it's the reason why there are so many jokes about mental practice. It's because mental practice is practice. It's work. You are working through what you are learning. It's not a magic wand. When I say it's practice and not a magic wand, I'm trying to steer you away from the idea that mental practice is imagining. It's not. At least not imagination where I'm trying to envision something that doesn't exist yet. I think the biggest mistake is confusing the two and thinking that mental practice is a process of imagining what you want. It would be nice if you could simply imagine what you want, see yourself in your mind's eye, the end goal, and then simply go achieve it because you have seen it in its full-formed entirety. But that just doesn't work. Hence all the memes and jokes. And hence why people just throw mental practice out with the garbage, and it makes sense why they do. If I can imagine where I want to be, if I know what the correct solution is, what the end goal is, then why don't I just go work on executing it? Just do it in real time and skip all the mental stuff. That's a fair point, and very valid, if mental practice and imagination were the same thing. They are not, so get it straight now. What you are experiencing in your head when you mentally practice is how things actually are, not how you want them to be. Now, why is any of this important? The biggest obstacle to progress is that we don't know what we are doing wrong. We need an outside observer. When you mentally practice, you can become the outside observer. This is the fifth dimension I mentioned earlier. You are experiencing your playing in 3 dimensions, up, down, side to side, and front to back. You are experiencing the senses of touch and sound, the 4D, and you are simultaneously standing on the outside looking in, being the outside observer, the 5D or fifth dimension. Only mental practice can achieve this, such a thing, which is why it's so important and so powerful. Now, if the whole 5D thing is throwing you for a loop, it might take a little practice to get there. There is a book you can read that I read in college. I will link it up in the description, so please check it out there, as well as some other reading recommendations of my favorite brain books for regular folks, as I like to call them. One of the things in that book I read from my teacher is the idea of being the outside observer, of standing out and looking in. It was a required book from our cello teacher, which makes it even more interesting that he made fun of me when I mentioned mental practice. Just goes to show that people can be blinded by their previous experience when they are not open to new ideas, even when those new ideas relate to their own original ideas. It's weird. At this point, you might be saying, Clay, if mental practice is so great and wonderful and powerful and you know so much about it, why are you not a better player? Why are you not a virtuoso traveling and concertizing on the world's stages? That is the most fair question of them all, and you are right to ask it. You should ask it, and you would be unwise to not ask it. The answer, though, is very personal, and I'm not even sure that the answer belongs on this channel. I have created a separate channel for such things, and perhaps one day I will record the answer to that very important question. Maybe I will put it here or there, who knows. Like I said, it requires a long answer beyond the scope of this video. For now, all I can say is that this is a game changer. It is so important for your playing and your development, and I hope you will use this tool that you hopefully now have in your toolbox. If I ever decide to record that video, the answer to your very fair question, I will put it here. In the meantime, YouTube thinks you will enjoy this video right here.